Let's see how much we are able to cover today in the understanding of what is mind. So the talk would be with these ideas. Try to understand what is mind and what is it made up of. 3, what is the nature of that. 4, what is the consequence. 5, how do you deal with it. So this is the idea in this dynamics of mind. Now, having said this, you people have to travel with me very fast, because it's a subtle idea. So I'll try to make it as simple as possible, as understandable as possible, and then let's see how it goes. But first, we need to understand why we have to study about this mind. What is the necessity to study about mind from this Vedantic perspective? From the spiritual organization studying about spiritual person studying about mind is very different from a psychiatrist studying about mind, a psychologist studying about mind. There is a world of difference the way we look at it. So philosophically, we study mind only for this reason. That is what the premise here. The basic idea is this. It is the mind that decides whether you are going to be in samsara or you are going to be in freedom. As the saying goes, Manasyeva manushyanam karanam bandhamokshayo. It is the mind of man decides whether you are going to be in samsara or moksha, slavery or liberation. Now, what keeps you slave is the mind, and it is the same mind that can take you to liberation also. Therefore, we study mind. Otherwise, we are not interested in studying mind. The only purpose of studying mind is this. So keep the purpose in the backdrop. Now, coming to this, what is this mind, sir? Immediately we start discussing, the moment you talk about mind these days, we start classifying that into categories and say conscious mind, subconscious mind, unconscious mind. That's not what we discuss here. Because one group of people say subconscious mind is stronger, 8 times stronger than conscious. I say, how do you know 8 times? It could be 800 times also. It could be 80,000 times also. It could be even twice, or it may be half of conscious also. The moment you say it is subconscious, you have no clue of what it is. And then you say unconscious mind, then you have absolutely no clue. And we are discussing about, which is more powerful. Is conscious more powerful or subconscious more powerful? It's all, vague things. Vedanta doesn't go with those things. It says what is observable by you. With the naked eye, what is observable is what the reality is. The reality is not, which is non-observable by a naked eye. You need a special equipment for you to see something. Then what you are seeing is not real to you. What you are seeing depends on the equipment. I change the equipment, what you see will change. So we don't go into that side at all actually. So we don't get into this pathological analysis of mind. Okay. You say, what is mind, sir? Here. Now, if I ask you, what is face? You ask a person to draw face, what he does? He will start drawing the eyes, eyebrows. He will put a forehead, hair, ears, lips, cheek, chin. This is what he will be drawing. I call that fellow, give him one whack to him and say, you idiot, what I am telling, what are you doing? I am asking you to draw a face. You are drawing eyes. You are drawing nose. You are drawing lips. He says what? Ishwaran. All put together is called face. There is no independent existence called face. There is eye, correct. There is nose, reality. There is ears, reality. But face is what? There is no reality to face, but at the same time, face is what? We use a word called face to refer the collection of all these things. Remember this in the backdrop. Without this understanding, if you go to study mind, you will get a lot of confusion only. So first thing is, it is exactly like studying face. Similarly, mind, when we say, we refer to collection of few things. Like face is a collection of few things, mind is also a collection of few things. What are the collections, sir? Collection of your emotions, desires, likes and dislikes, your impulses. All this put together is called mind. And beyond this mind, we have another thing is also existing called intellect, buddhi. In Sanskrit, we use two words, manas and buddhi. In English, we use the word mind and intellect. Mind is a collection of these things. Similarly, intellect is also a collection of few things. Like mind, intellect also collection. What is a collection, sir? It's a collection of all is your ability to think, your ability to discriminate. Mark, we are studying philosophy, not politics. In politics, discrimination is a bad word. Philosophy, it's a beautiful word. Discrimination means you must be able to distinguish between a wall and a door. If you cannot discriminate wall and door, what will happen to you? Therefore, you have the capacity to understand this is a wall, this is a door. I have to enter through this, exit through the door, not through the wall. Right? So, intellect is your ability to think, your ability to discriminate, your ability to analyze, reason, judge, decide. This is called intellect. What is it made up of? I said, what is mind made up of, sir? Mind made up of these things. Collection. Collection of what? Collection of your, I repeat, desires, likes and dislikes, emotions, impulses. Impulses in the sense, a sudden urge to do something. That's called impulse. You see, suddenly you feel like doing something. You see, like sneezing is an impulse. You get it. Triggered by so many factors could be, but happens. Then you have emotions in the sense all variety, good, bad, indifferent, positive, negative, right, wrong, all, it doesn't matter. All emotions we classify under one category. Who feels that, sir? Sum total of all your emotions, sum total of all your likes, dislikes, and your desires. I want this, I want that, I want to achieve this, I want to achieve that. All these things is called desires. So we have this 4 basic components that decides your mind. So when you want to understand the nature of mind, you have to understand individually what each one of them do. This is one way of analysis. Another one is collectively they have one particular common factor. There has to be something common, isn't it? that common denominator collection is what we are going to see today. I'm not planning to discuss individually what is the nature of desire, what it does, what happens, and all those things. Individually, likes and dislikes, what happens, individually emotions, individually impulses is not what we, all of them have a common denominator. What is a common denominator, sir? The common denominator for all this is all these are sporadic in nature. It is sporadic. It has no conscious effort. It gushes out by itself. It comes on its own. You don't generate it. Whereas intellect is all the thoughts that is deliberated and brought out. You see, the thoughts that come by itself is called mind. Sum total of that. The thoughts that is deliberated by you, churned out and brought out is called intellect. Therefore, essentially mind is what, sir? Sum total of all your indiscriminate thoughts is called mind. What is intellect? Intellect means all the thoughts that is consciously brought out, discriminated in nature. So initially we saw 4 items. Now we are bringing it to only 2 things, mind and intellect. Instead of studying all that, we are collectively studying that. What is a common denominator is this: indiscriminate thought flow and discriminated thought flow. Okay. Now we go to, okay, Ishwaran, what is the nature of indiscriminate thoughts that exist in me? What does that mind do? What is the problem with this? Now here, there is one thing you have to recognize. There is a difference between, there is always a reference being given by this, in the scriptures, that mind is existing in the heart and intellect is existing in the brain. Okay. Buddhi is intellect, is a brain. Mind means immediately we point out to the heart. Remember, mind is not in the heart. Intellect is not in the brain. Then why they refer it, sir? It's just a reference point. That's about it. It is easy to make a connection. Why? Because when I say eyes, ears, nose, eye has 2 things. One, there is an organ called eye. That organ has a function called seeing. I have an organ called ears. It has a function called hearing. I have an organ called heart. It has a function called pumping. I have liver, I have kidney, I have this, I have that. I have so many things. Right? All that in the body has 2 things. One, it's a particular organ and it has a particular function. When you come to this mind, also intellect, there is no organ, it has only function, which is difficult for a layman to connect to. See, how can you conceive an equipment which is purely functional where there is no organ to it? There is no physical to it at all. Thank God we have these days, science and technology has developed. We can understand that. I don't know how these people during, Upanishadic period understood this. Today, if all that I have to tell people is one example I have to give. Straight away they understand. All of us understand that. That your body is exactly like the hard disk in your computer. The software that is embedded in that is the mind and intellect. Now, inside your computer, there is a software sitting. Can you dissect? I cut open the processor. I cut open the RAM and ask, where is the, now I am seeing all of you. If not all of you, at least some of your face I am seeing. Right. I am seeing you here. But if I open that screen and ask, where is this person? What will happen? It will not be there. But at the same time, what, sir? It is there. The presence of the software or the absence of the software will never increase the weight of your computer. Fully loaded system, fully empty system, which will be heavier? Same Seagate, external hard disk, fully loaded, 1 TB. Same Seagate, empty. Which will be heavier, sir? I say what? Hey, I have loaded how many movies in that? For me, I can understand only that. Hard disk for me is only for movies. I don't understand anything more than that. There are about 500 movies being loaded in this. I have. Now, it should be heavier, no? Is it heavier? No. Why? That is called software. Similarly, mind and intellect, manas and buddhi is a software. Don't try to search for it here. But then why they gave that connection is it's easy to relate. You see, that is why they say, whenever you are not able to think, reason out, understand, the teachers always scold in the class, Buddhu, don't you have brains? You can't take a CT scan and show the teacher, I have got brains, you see. When he says brains, he's not talking about literal organ called brain. He says what? Thinking. Can't you think? Can't you follow the logic? Can't you follow the reasoning here? Step 1, step 2 in mathematics. Can't you follow that? Says. So intellect and mind, manas and buddhi have no organ, it has only function. So don't try to search for it inside. Then what is it, sir? Exactly like the national flag represents nation. The flag is not nation. What is flag? Flag is a piece of cloth with a particular color combination of threads. That's a flag. If you dissect. But the moment you put it together, suddenly you say what? Respecting that is respecting nation. Insult to that is insulting nation. You say, why, sir? It's not there, but it represents the nation. Same way, heart represents mind, brain represents intellect. Mind is not in the heart, intellect is not in the brain. Okay, this is a very basic, lot of people have a misunderstanding on this. And they ask, if brain gets damaged, what will happen? They ask. I say that is not my problem. It is like your door gets jammed. Can you come out of the house? You cannot come out of the house. You are stuck inside the house. Full stop. That doesn't mean you are dead. Definitely you can't come out. Correct. That doesn't mean you don't exist. No. Same way. If brain is not there, your heart is not there, then expression doesn't happen. That doesn't mean the thing is not there. It's a hardware problem. Like in the computer, we say, no, sir, this is a hardware problem. Software is good. Only thing is what? That capacitor is gone, that the chip is gone, he says, or he says the RAM is gone. Software is intact. Sometimes hardware is perfect, software is a problem. Now, if you come to Vedanta, Vedanta is what, sir? We are software engineers. Don't come and ask us about the hardware problem. If your system has a hardware problem, don't come to me. He will say what? Go to hardware engineer. Who is a hardware engineer? That's where science comes into picture. Now you can't say it has no value. Of course, science has to deal with it. medical science has to deal with it. All the branches of medical science, which include psychiatry also, right? All that field. So you can't discount them. They need it. Where they need it, here they need it. Okay. So we have seen so far what is mind, collectively what is it, and what is a misunderstanding we have with reference to mind. Now we move to next idea as to, sir, what is the nature of this? What does it do? How does it express? What is it doing to me as a person? There is only one word answer I give. That is, if you are having any problem in life, the culprit is the mind. That's all. You know, any problem you talk about, all the problems that you are experiencing is because of your mind only. It is a mind that is causing all this. How? I'll give you a few things because we don't have much time for us to analyze all that, because so far what I have studied in my study, I have found that different expressions of the nature, the mind in different people goes more than about 55 items I have. Each one it will work in different way. But however, there are some common things happens to most of us. It may not be happening the same way, but few things are happening. The first one is mind means, remember one thing, it will reciprocate, it will react only to exaggerations. Wherever there is no exaggeration, mind will not react. This is the nature of mind. The realities of life are never exaggerated. It's just a fact. That's all. There is no exaggerations there. But mind will react only to exaggeration. Where you can see that maximum, sir, in the field of spiritual is where you will see maximum. Highest expression, sir. Where is classic expression of that is spiritual field. Why, sir? Miracles. If a person were to do a miracle, right, as I am sitting here, suddenly one light comes out of my head, let's say. It is only because power goes off, my LED changes, that's all. Only the person will see that and say, what? Wow, he must be really a spiritual man. If no light comes, what you will call? He's just an ordinary person. See, there's nothing great. Now you go, no. Which temple people go to? Which God we all believe in? Magnified. Vis-a-vis a God who is not magnified. Any problem that you are encountering in life, the mind reacts with what, sir? With exaggeration. Miracles. Exaggeration. One aspect of mind. Another dimension of mind is this. It has a tremendous resistance to change. Any change, it will resist. So, it wants what, sir? At the same time, this is what mind is, contradiction. Mind is full of contradictions. One side of the mind will resist change. Another side of the mind is, it will want variety. If the same thing you give it to the mind, it gets bored. You want variety. Whereas you see this animal kingdom, they don't ask for variety at all. For a cow, from birth till death, you keep feeding grass. Same grass. Happily he will eat. Or she will eat. I'm sorry. He has no issues. Lion goes on eating the same thing. No problems for it. You don't have. Repeat it. Now, for you, what is it, sir? In the house, if they were to prepare the same dish, second time, you feel what? Now, why? Factually, if you analyze body prefers the same thing. Body never asks for variety. Remember this. Your tongue never asks for variety. All of us blame the tongue actually. I don't know why people blame that. They blame the senses. Your eyes don't want variety. Eyes are there only to register whatever sight is in front of you. Full stop. Tongue is to register the taste of whatever is put there. That's it. Your tongue will not demand, I want that taste. I want this taste. I want, people say, I want it in a particular way. And that also has to be what? Keep changing, keep changing, keep changing. Man had become more cunning. In the name of development, what had happened to all of us is we have become more and more cunning and experts in camouflaging with beautiful words our the things. See, you have to put your foot down and speak, these people, otherwise not work. What are you doing? You are actually angry. Your anger, we start glorifying today. What is anger, sir? Why you should not be angry? We think anger you should not have. Anger management you study. They say, why you should not be angry? Why, sir? Because anger builds your BP. I say, okay, if you are not having BP, you live for another 5 years. What are you going to do? Another 10 years you live, what are you going to do? Is this the reason? Huh? Your physical wellness is called wellness? No. Then why you should not be angry? Do you think? Do you challenge that? Why these people say you should not have anger? And today we started glorifying these things. And we started glorifying even, I can stand 9 rounds, one fellow says. As though it is something, a great quality. And you drink water from the tap, you get sick. Whereas people in the slum don't get sick. Therefore, you think what? You believe their immune system is better than yours. Is that called immune system? Then what all of us should do? Recognition means what? Refinement. You are having a better system means it should be sensitive. In the name of working with the mind, what we have started doing is we have started making it more numb. That's what a lot of them say. Before coming to the spiritual things, I used to get angry. Now I am not getting angry. And you believe you are growing spiritually. No. Earlier you are sensitive. Now you have become numb. Numbness is not growth. Your mind should become more and more sensitive. That sensitivity defines growth. That alertness, that awareness should be there. But the problem is the moment you become sensitive, you get agitated. Our problem is to maintain that sensitivity without getting pressurized, without getting stressed, without getting worked up, disturbed, agitated is the real challenge. So the moment I become conscious, I become alert, I get into trouble. So best solution is what? Don't get it. Vedanta says no. There is a way to handle the mind. How do you handle the mind? Vedanta says forget about it first. How to handle mind, sir? The only way to handle mind is not to handle it. Then what you should do? Vedanta says mind is exactly like a river flowing. The water flows, the river. If the water were to be contained within the banks of the river, that river is a blessing. If the water were to break the banks and run beyond the banks, it's a curse. That same river can inundate the fields and destroy the crops. If that water can be contained within the banks, the same river fertilizes, facilitates the field to grow, the crops to grow. So it has got nothing to do with the river. It is to do with what, sir? The banks. Is your banks strong or weak? Check that. More the water, better it is. We are not trying to reduce the water. Immediately, a lot of people started working on mind. What you should do, sir? Mind. Start reducing. Start reducing. They say, not reduction, please. More the water flowing, better it is. Similarly, good quality mind you have, more emotions that you carry, good. Provided those emotions are contained within the banks of your intellect. So what you have to do, don't touch the water. Start strengthening the banks. If the banks were to go right, the water flows to right. If the banks takes a left turn, water takes a left turn. By itself, water has no direction. Similarly, whatever we have studied so far about mind, the few aspects that we saw, is mind functioning by itself. Mind by itself is what? Indisciplined. There is no direction, no dimension to mind. There is no direction, dimension to to your emotions, your desires, your likes and dislikes, your impulses. It has nothing of that. That's why a lot of times you say, people say, love is blind. It is blindness. Now you can't say with my eyes wide open, I'm going to fall in love. Not possible. To love, you got to be blind only. That's the nature of mind. That's the nature of emotion. What is it? That's how it will be. So what you have to do is strengthen your intellect. By strengthening the intellect, you would be able to manage the oscillations of the mind. The mind's agitating tendencies. When I say minds, immediately go back, add all the factors, emotions, desires, likes and dislikes, impulses, all put together. And today your emotions are strength or a weakness of your personality. How much you have the positive and negative emotions, good and bad emotions and indifferent emotions. Where are you going to distinguish that? How much of exaggerations that is happening in you? How much of exaggerations that you are doing? That is why when you talk about your problem, you find a difficulty to find a solution to your problem, but you are able to find solution to others' problems. How? Isn't it? This doesn't require a great, psychology understanding and all that, please. You just have to observe, natural. Vedanta bases itself on this factor only, natural observation. We don't go by this exaggerated observations, natural observation. What is it, sir? How is it that I am able to? That's what happened in Mahabharata. Arjuna gives a fantastic lecture to Uttarakumara when he wants to run from the battlefield. But against whom? Same Kaurava army. Now, same Arjuna comes to Kurukshetra, faces the same Kaurava army. Arjuna says what? Pack up, let's go. It's the same thing Uttarakumara said then. Same words used by Arjuna to speak to Uttarakumara is the same words Krishna also uses to address Arjuna. How is it that he is able to face the same opponents in Virata state? In Kurukshetra, he is not able to face. That's what all of us do. When you have a problem, I can find a solution. That's why all of us have become excellent counselors these days. Counseling has become a fantastic profession now. Why? Everybody counsels. And particularly Indians are experts in that. You know, how? Exaggeration. Why I am not able to find a solution to my problems? Because the moment my problem means what, sir? Mind comes into picture. Once the mind comes in, it will exaggerate. Once it is exaggerated, there is no solution. Remember, how do you solve any problem? No matter what. How do you solve a problem, sir? Any problem analysis, remember this. Even if you have forgotten all the points that I have said, it doesn't matter. Remember at least this one point. Any problem that you are analyzing, whether it is yours or somebody's, doesn't make a difference. Particularly yours. Looking for two things there. There is a situation, there is a problem, and there is exaggeration. Segregate those two things. That is called intellect. It is able to distinguish between the fact and exaggeration. And it says, for exaggeration, there is no solution possibility. For a factuality, there is a solution. A car met with an accident. What are you supposed to do? Examine, call for insurance, give it to the insurance, give it to the company. Solution can be given. Suppose if you see my car met with an accident, then what happens? You see that? The fact is one car met with an accident. So we can give a solution, sir, depending on if it is just a small scratch, one thing. If it is an accident of a bigger size, you got to take the car to the shop. If it is a fatal accident, what you have to do? Sir, call police. And a case has to be filed. What has to be done? Solution can be given. But when you say, when I am driving, when I am sitting in the car met with an accident, my car met with an accident, what happens? This is called exaggeration dimension of mind. So every facet of mind, if you have to deal with, you need a strong intellect. Only a strong intellect will be able to deal with the mind. How do you strengthen the intellect, sir? Only through studying and inquiring about mind. Don't start studying your mind immediately. No. First, try to understand mind in general. It's like medical science. You study generally the human anatomy. Only then you go to a specific body, specific patient. Nowadays, what we are doing, sir, everybody wants to become a straightaway doctor without doing the medical course at all. I don't study human anatomy and all those things. I don't do all those things. Straight away, I have to become an expert. You can do that, but you will not become an engineer. You will become a roadside mechanic. There's a difference between a mechanical engineer and a roadside mechanic. Remember this. The person who had completed IIT, mechanical engineer, is different from roadside engineer. Of course, that doesn't mean I'm saying roadside engineer is useless. Roadside mechanic is useful for certain things, but you have to distinguish between, there is a grade, there is a level of understanding between the two. Today, what we have started doing is, we have started equating both same Sometimes we go to the extent of saying the roadside mechanic is better than IIT gold medalist. And you can't see the difference itself here. This is where the problem is. Don't do that mistake, please. Don't start studying your mind. My mind is working. How my mind is happening. What? No. First study about mind. That is called the scriptural studies. Through the study and reflection on the scriptures, your intellect starts gaining, exercising along with that material, you start gaining that stamina and strength. In the presence of a strong intellect, the mind can be managed. The mind which has caused the problem to you becomes a solution to your life. That's what the scriptures say. Manas eva manushyanam karanam bandha moksha. Bandha moksha depends on what? Not depends on the mind. It depends on the presence of buddhi or absence of buddhi. Presence of buddhi in the sense, presence of a strong buddhi. The absence of buddhi means the presence of a weak buddhi. Right. Thank you.